It's Tuesday night, it's 9 p.m. with 3 rounds in the books, and for the first time this season, the championship picture is finally starting to come into focus. Tonight, the RTA indyNXT series heads to the Phoenix Raceway, where every lap matters and every point could shape the fight for the title. At the top of the standings is Harvey Dara, who arrives in Arizona with the championship lead on 2:06, but breathing down his neck is Kerry Owens' Tony Griffin, just 13 points adrift and in fine form, looking for any opportunity to take control of this battle. Behind them, the chasing pack are still refusing to go away. Sean McClement sits third despite carrying a penalty, while his brother Dylan remains firmly in contention, just a handful of points further back, and with drivers like Brandon McGahan, Lee Cogan and Jan Zouteveld all within striking distance, nobody can afford a bad night in the desert. And if there's one place capable of turning a championship upside down, it's this one. Phoenix Raceway is fast, narrow and relentless. The walls are never far away. Traffic arrives in an instant, and one lapse in concentration can erase an entire evening's work. Drivers won't just be racing each other tonight. They'll also, of course, be racing the oval for the first time, and the pressure of a championship fight that's getting tighter every single week. For Harvey Dara, it's about defending the advantage. For Tony Griffin, it's a chance to strike. And for the rest, it's an opportunity to drag themselves right into the title conversation. The desert is ready, the championship is heating up, and under the blazing sun of the Phoenix Raceway, another crucial chapter of this season is about to begin, with round 4 starting now on Gantry TV. So round 4 brings us to Phoenix Raceway. We were in Miami last week for a wet and wild one, and this time we're under the sun in the state of Arizona at this dog leg oval, a very unusually shaped track, this Phoenix Raceway, and I'm sure Evan will tell us all about how that will change the driving over the course of this one. 1.02 miles, 1.64 kilometers, a race lap record of 19.7379 seconds. That's Tony Kanaan, iRacing specialist, in his Dallara in 2016 in IndyCar. But this is an interesting track, this Phoenix Speedway. You can see down the bottom there. Bottom left is where we start with that starting start-finish line, and of course with a standing start this evening, I think, as we normally have. It's a rolling start. Okay, it's a rolling start this evening, so I was going to say with a standing start that we've had in St. Petersburg, I wonder how it would work the same here, but rolling start at the oval, and Evan, an opportunity finally for us to go oval racing in these indyNXT cars.
Absolutely, great chance to go oval racing. We've given these indyNXT machines about 30 more mile an hour with the oval spec setup, and it really should put up the cat amongst the pigeons. Good evening, Kevin. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here at Phoenix International Raceway, where we should have a good race on our hands. Low track temperature means that we will be flat out around the lap during the race. You've got to get very smart to pull off your overtakes, but a track like tonight, where the walls are very close, could change up the championship picture pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is the new version of the oval, reconfigured in 2011, and of course the famous thing about this is that dog leg that incorporates the original road course, which means we have that slight kink in the bottom of the track. How does that change oval racing, Evan? How does that normally, you know, we different types. We have the likes of Bristol that are very short, the short track stuff, or they're almost like circles, and then you have, I suppose, the longer tracks, the likes of Indianapolis, Talladega, and the likes where you get that longer stretches where the cars can really open up their legs. And this is kind of neither or, and that dog leg is a bit of a tighter bend and on a lower banking than what we've seen in the rest of the track.
On a flat-out qualifying lap, you won't notice much of a difference. It's when you're side-by-side in race trim. You can't just run it down the inside and then maybe accelerate out of the corner. You've got to consider and leave space on the outside for the dog leg, because it is still in theory a corner, but for flat-out qualifying laps, won't make much of a difference. The interesting thing about Phoenix is that the two corners are totally different. So turn 1 and turn 3 as you will, but I think it's officially 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 or something like that. But two totally different corners. They drive very differently, especially when the tires are heating up. They can be quite tricky, so you've got to drive them totally different, which after 15 or so minutes of doing the same thing, fatigue will hit and mistakes could arise.
Well, that's what our championship leader will be hoping to avoid. Harvey Dara currently 6th in qualifying, joining slightly late. He does top that championship table, as we said earlier on. Tony Griffin behind him. And then we have, I suppose, the two McClements brothers are never that far away. But Dylan starting to get the grips with this indyNXT car. But Harvey really taking his chances at the moment, Devon. And it's great to see him, I suppose, give the other lads a run for his money. Like Dylan 181 still very much within striking distance. Really everybody, as we said, down to almost Conor Melia, really. Even Campto at 124. Like it's not outside the bounds of possibility that he gets back into this championship fight as well.
It absolutely isn't. And last time RTA came to Phoenix Raceway, our one and only time in the IndyCar, Campto Chukwu was the Heat 3 winner. So he's not too far away from a good result. There's been a lot of practice laps put in from Campto. The pace necessarily last night wasn't breaking many records, but consistency is key around an oval. The likes of Harvey Dara, the likes of Tony Griffin, they both weren't in the series when we came to Phoenix before. This is a brand new experience for them. But something that is a big feature of both IndyCar and indyNXT racing is your oval specialist. One of them might just have that little edge above the rest on an oval. But look, there's only one way to find out, and we will find out over the next hour and a half.
And I suppose the only way we've talked about this before, should I say, and one of the ovals, so-called oval specialists is Conor Melia. He's one of the guys in this series that, like you, is a real IndyCar fan. He knows these cars, he knows the style of racing, he knows the tactics that are involved, and yet Conor, I think, by his own admission, wouldn't have been as successful in the oval races as we would expect some others. And I suppose you can. All the tactics you want, you can come up with the best strategies possible, even though across a 20-minute race it's not always possible. But you can do everything you want. But if you get caught up in an instant at the ovals, which so easily happens, somebody crashes in front of you, there's just nowhere to go. It really does shake things up, this oval style racing.
It does. It's something totally unique. And I think a lot of the guys in RTA won't accept it or they'll accept it for what it isn't, in terms of, oh, we're turning left for 20 minutes. But oval racing is an art form in itself. For the likes of people who might be watching our stream, in terms of those who run Formula V, know Formula Ford, have an interest in Formula 3, 2 and 1, maybe won't have an appreciation for what oval racing is, but I know we have some American viewers now, and we're very thankful for them, for you guys watching along at home stateside. They'll might share their experience with those in the stream chat of what oval racing is. It is very difficult. Run the iRacing official Indy 500. I'm a massive IndyCar fan, massive Indy 500 fan. It's my favourite race of the year. It opened my eyes up to how difficult it is. Oval racing is not just turning left. Well, it is in some sense, but it's not. You need luck, you need skill, you need precision, and you need to be on top of your car, on top of your tools for the full duration of the race. Otherwise, you're in that blue wall.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys have the benefit of a spotter. I suppose, or would, like when you talk about those big events, as Simon Hutchins clips the wall on the outside, a lot of these guys would normally have the benefit of a spotter, but that's probably unlikely to be the case this evening for most of these drivers. So they're kind of on their own, and they're on their own wits, and the spotters make such a huge difference in terms of
they'll have their
racing.
iRacing one, or crew chief, but they won't have an actual person, I suppose.
But I suppose from the strategy point of view, I know it's not a longer race, so that kind of takes that out of it a small bit, but just, a spotter, a human's, I don't think there's any real substitute though for a human spotter, for somebody who can actually kind of read the race and give you a sense of what's going on around the place. And it's not just car left, car right. It's don't push now, push in a couple of laps, this is when the tires are falling off, this is what the other cars are doing type thing.
True, but when have you ever really needed that in RTA? In the Indy 500 we had the Indy 20 minutes, we had a mandatory pit stop. We don't here tonight, so it's a little bit different. That message has been heavily emphasised to Conor Melia, who lost the Indianapolis win in the IndyCar series due to that. But yeah, there's no replacement for a human being, but I don't think it should be too big an issue this evening. We actually have a tie at the top of the times in qualifying. Both Jan Zoudvella and Dylan McClements have done a 22.494. That's a fast lap, but you can go quicker. Some of these drivers may be experimenting with the roll bars to see what goes a little bit quicker. You have your front and rear roll bars. You can run them a lot looser or a lot tighter. You may think that tighter will be the better one to run, but you kind of want to run them a little bit loose. The ideal quali setup, I think, is to have your front roll bar at the position 3.5, then have your rear roll bar at the position 1.5. From my running, that was what kind of seemed to be going well, but you're going to change them throughout the race. It's important to stay on top of those tools as well, because tyre wear is a big thing on ovals, even if it doesn't look like it at the surface. Worn tyres are going to put you in the wall, basically, so you got to do everything you can to not wear the tyres. It's, I suppose, a philosophy in circuit racing as well. The roll bars will help with that.
Yeah, and I suppose again that's another thing, that if you know that you're going to come up against that, then that's something that you learn. But for a lot of these guys, it's not a nuance that they will know exceptionally well. So it's going to be, it's definitely going to be. There's going to be drivers out there that have the benefit of that.
Yeah,
And,
it's
are
more of
going,
an
are going
IndyCar
to
thing,
enjoy
anyways.
that.
I think.
Yeah,
I think you'll be okay
well,
in IndyNXT.
okay. The Indy Lights, IndyNXT hasn't come to Phoenix Raceway as far as I know, but Indy Lights, the lap record was 23.5. Now I don't know whether that's race lap record or qualifying. I suspect that's qualifying as well. But that was a 22.5. Sorry, 22.55 set by Kyle Kaiser in the 2016 Grand Prix.
Wow, what a name!
So, yeah, what a super name.
Kyle Kaiser, who infamously knocked Fernando Alonso out of the entry list for the Indy 500.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh,
Yes, so was it whatever the second year was? Alonso did it. He was in the last lap row shootout, and it was Kyle Kaiser in the Junkos Holliger Racing entry that knocked him out of the race, basically.
And was that 2018 or 2019 edition?
Wasn't that bad as that, Kevin? Come on.
Yeah, it's a very good edition. I was going to say, because he finished 29th in 2018 and 31st in 2019.
It was
so
19 because I think he did 17 and 19, didn't he? Because I remember Jenson Button replaced him in Monaco in 17, and then he left in. He wasn't in Formula 1 in 19, so.
Is this the same Kyle Kaiser? I don't see. I think this might be. Anyway, yeah.
If there's multiple Kyle Kaisers, that's even cooler.
That's even better, yeah. So that's the situation at the moment. Jan Zoudvella is still on top by 1,000th of a second, and it is exceptionally tight. Tires are getting warmer. There may be an opportunity. You guys are getting different lines, but obviously, again, traffic is a big influence on that. Evening all in the chat. Enjoy all of you joining us this evening. Johnny Hollywood says poor Evan was commentating on paint drying yesterday. I think that was the only thing that was drying yesterday by all accounts.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure nothing else was dry. Yeah, evening to Jay Pesso, Graham's Racing Channel, Niall Doherty, who says oval racing is shite. So thanks, Niall, for that. That's a very positive contribution there.
I'll try to change everyone's opinions in the stream chat, but I don't think I'll be able to change Niall Doherty's.
I don't think they're going to be giving out if we have a 42 car pileup or whatever, a 21 car pileup this evening. Also shocked at the lack of abuse for Jordan Kelly, given the shenanigans that we saw last week. I thought that might roll over into this week, but Jordan said
Sam Emerald Carshots actually said Mondello was reminiscent of Jordan Kelly-esque conditions, which I thought was quite funny.
Oh, what did you say?
Sam Emerald Carshots, who's joining us in the stream chat, he said yesterday that Mondello was very Jordan Kelly-like conditions.
Jordan Kelly, yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah, it was, yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have quite as many accidents in Mondello yesterday as we did last week in Miami. Yeah, plenty of red flags, but not quite as spectacular accidents that we saw last week. And Evan, I wonder, are the stewards going to be like last week was, I think, exceptionally difficult conditions. I think everyone would accept that. But I do think that does kind of bring back into focus the need to stay clean. I wonder, will that affect how some people drive this evening, or is it just turning over a new leaf?
Nah, it's oval racing. Put someone in the wall if you have to. Do what you need, just win.
Fair enough. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of. It didn't come to my mind immediately, but I was trying to think of the NASCAR driver that ran around the fences to get the race win a couple of years ago. Was that Chase? No,
Ross
Chase.
Chastain,
Ross
take a look
Chastain.
at
That's
what he
it. Yeah.
did.
Yeah, Ross Chastain. Yeah. So yeah. Do whatever you need to do. A minute left in qualifying. Jan Zouteveld leading Dylan McClements, and our championship leader Harvey Dara down in 9th position. That's going to be a very difficult one to start from.
It is. Harvey, usually a good wheel-to-wheel race. It'll be interesting to see if that can transfer onto the ovals. Oval qualifying is chronically boring, folks, so don't worry. This will pick up this evening. Even Mr. Oval enthusiast over here thinks that this is the boring section of the evening. Not that big of a grid shuffle up. One name down the order is last week's pole sitter Tony Griffin, who is down in 12th. Conor Mealy has gone purple, purple, purple. If that's a genuine lap, he is. He's going to go to the top, right at the death with a 22.4. So whatever Conor Mealy has pulled out of the woodwork, it has certainly worked. And that is a case of the oval experience kicking in. And he may have a slipstream as well, does he? Yes. That is Kamso Chokwa who's given him the slipstream, and that pull down the main straight has put him on pole position. That's a bit more like it.
Yeah, Conor will be delighted with that. He, as I said, he's a real big enthusiast for these machines, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely busting a gut to try and make his oval experience count. So he has done a superb job there. You can see there below, nobody getting any better times. Everyone's orange right across the board, and it's Conor Mealy. Dermot Toomey, lads. Last minute, the number 13 car comes in with a 22.456. So Dermot Toomey starts in the front row of the grid.
Yeah, Dermot was really quick in practice last night, so that's a great result for Dermot Toomey. He will start behind our pole sitter, Conor Mealy, who takes his first pole of the season. Dermot Toomey in second, then it's Jan Zouteveld in third, Dylan McClements in fourth, Rory O'Shea in fifth, then it is Sean McGoldrick in sixth, ahead of Sean McClements in seventh. Lee Cogan in eighth, Harvey Dara and Kevin Joyce ninth and 10th. Peter McCann in 11th, and it's Tony Griffin, Simon Hutchings, Dara O'Connor, Kamsa Chukwa, Niall Stevens, Ken Doyle, Carl Corkin, Adam Dowling, and Jack Wynne in 20th position. Then in 21st, we have Ronan Keane and Jordan Kelly out on the circuit as well. So we're getting ready to go racing here in Phoenix. IndyCar has already ran Phoenix this season, and it was won by former RTA Virtual Motorsport driver Joseph Newgarden.
There you go. Now, some of the ranks that have appeared. We were talking about Peter Dempsey earlier on this season, or last season in WEC. We have Joseph Newgarden. We have Alex Albon, I think, as a former member.
I think so, yeah.
So even if you're, even if the racing isn't overly interested, do watch, because then you could be one of those people that said, "Well, I actually saw him before he became big." Alex Dunn actually raced with us for quite a while. We've mentioned that a few times. Right. I think I was right to begin with, Evan. I think we're going to have a standing start for this. With a pace car. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. We just saw the lights.
Yeah. Like, we're absolute lunatics, narcissists, all of the above in RTA, but I think standing starts on an oval is really out of our depth.
Yeah, no, not my finest moment. Didn't see the pace car. Wasn't even noticing the pace car. I just saw the lights and was like, oh, lights go out. Then we go. Right, this is our leader, Conor Mealy. What's in your mind, Evan, here? First couple of laps as the leader, because obviously you're going to be giving that slip to the cars behind you. What can you do to try and defend your position?
This is a sentiment for everybody. You've got to get the tyres up to speed as quick as possible. We're flat out through 1 and 2, even in tow in the race, but not for the first 2.5 laps. It will be a lift. You've got to get your tyres up to temperature quickly. Turn in, you'll be absolutely fine, but it's as you apply the power on the exit of the corner where your rear will just flick round and you're heading straight for the wall. If you lose the car here, you're not saving it. There's not enough space. Conor Mealy, he's just got to get those tyres heated up nicely, defend his position for the first corner, and hopefully take a first win of the season as they accelerate towards the line. Boogity boogity, let's go racing here in Phoenix. It's a great start from third place, Jan Zouteveld, who's already up and ahead of Dermot Toomey as they head through oval turn number 1. Dylan McClements has been spun round. It's already pandemonium in Arizona.
Yeah, Peter McCann getting mixed up there with Dara O'Connor as well in the middle of that. Peter McCann running the old orange livery. Adam Dowling seems to be involved in that, but Dylan McClements spinning out. That's our first big victim of the night. We're only 30 seconds in, and one of our championship contenders already out of this one.
Yeah, big incident for Dylan McClements. Sean McClements' brother, though, running quite well, has had a good start, and he's already up 4 positions now, heading through turn number 3. Dermot Toomey is tucked in the slipstream behind, but perfect start for Conor Amelia and Jan Zoutevella, who are up at the front of this one. Jan's pumped in the fastest lap of the race, but the fastest lap is going to just trade places throughout the evening here. Current running order is Amelia, Zoutevella, McClements, Toomey, Dara. Now they've got to settle into the rhythm, manage your tyres, use your tools, and try get on that nice, clean inside line. Simon Hutchings is running the Conor Daly-esque line around the high side while it's still a fairly clear track. He's now in the slipstream of Griffin in front of him, and he's up to 9th place.
Yeah, good one for him. Rory O'Shea had an issue there. I'm not sure what happened to the Hyper 15 car, but he's in the pit lane now. He was dropping down like a stone, but what a great start from Conor Amelia. We talked about what he needed to do to get out in front, and really Conor just timed that jump perfectly and got a good couple of tense gaps out on Jan Zoutevella, which meant that when anything happened behind him, he was so far out in front it didn't affect him. And of course, you can see that gap now between even Sean McClements, Harvey Dara and Jan Zoutevella, half a second between, almost 2 seconds now between Conor Amelia and Harvey Dara back down in 4th. Harvey, who's up a good few places as well in the number 5 car. He's up 5 positions so far. So Harvey's up 5, Sean McClements up 4, Jan Zoutevella up 1. The biggest loser so far, Dylan McClements, down 11 into 15th.
Yeah, very interesting to see how this race develops. As you mentioned, Kevin, indyNXT don't race here in real life. So it'll be interesting to see, will the gaps remain the same? Is there anything that the drivers can do to change it? The racing line is the racing line around here, unfortunately. Running the high side, you can only do it for the first real 2 minutes as we have someone glancing the wall. You'll notice on the outside of the corner, on the oval turns, you can already see the marbles developing. There was a better look at it through turn number 1. There you can see just on the outside towards the wall, the marbles and rubber deposits developing. That makes the high side really, really difficult. And come the 20-minute race, that's going to be just instant death if you go out there. We've no cautions. Usually cautions, they bring the sweepers out to clear that for better racing, but we don't have that here in RTA. I'm not sure they've paid the sweeper truck for this week.
No, I definitely think it's budget racing. This is definitely more a demolition derby than actual IndyNXT racing, but fairly clean so far beside that. Dermot Toomey's still holding his own. He's in 5th place at the moment ahead of Sean McGoldrick, and Dermot came into this evening 12th in the championship, so he's done well here, has the number 13 car, to put himself in the top 5.
Yeah, he has. He's done excellent. At this stage of the race now, the only person who can lose it is you. So if you make mistakes, you start running wide, the cars behind will catch up fairly quickly. Jan Zoutevella is running a very solid race at the front of this one. He's ever so slowly creeping in on the race leader, Conor Amelia. Sean McClements is running well as well. Not the biggest fan of oval racing in the world, but usually goes quite well at them. He kind of just grins and bears it a little bit, and he's had a fantastic run out of the final corner and is now right behind Jan Zoutevella. There's not much of a slipstream here, despite it usually having. It is actually one of the longer short ovals that we could race at, so the flat outness of the track is not helping that slipstream.
Yeah, not really, no, and you're kind of diving in all the time into those bankings, and it's interesting. I mean, they mightn't like the oval racing because it's not something that they're used to, but I think it's good for these guys to get an opportunity to try it and to like, it is such a massive part of the iRacing service. I mean, we are going back to, I mean, I know iRacing obviously was originally NASCAR. That's Jack Wynn being overtaken there on the outside. He's being lapped already, is the content creator, but it kind of harks back to the origins of iRacing itself. With Papyrus Games and the original NASCAR, so oval has a big part in this overall title and this series, and I think it's good that guys like Sean McClements, who would not otherwise never ever touch the stuff, at least are getting exposed to it some way, and it's a different type of racing that we get to enjoy than the usual circuit racing that we see all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we can go on board with Jan Zoutevella for a second, but I've noticed something Conor Amelia is doing to try keep his advantage here. It could have just been a total coincidence, but it looked like what Conor was doing is he's running the middle line through the start of the corner and then washing down through the front. So usually through corners, more specifically at Indianapolis, Yeah, you kind of see there a little bit, and there, yes, right, this is a great example. I'll wait till we get to turn one to fully explain it. But what Connor's doing is he's moving his car in front of Jean in the middle of the corner, which is causing Jean to wash out of the corner because the car loses it loses its downforce, its aerodynamic grip, and that's forcing him back into Sean McClellan. So watch Connor Mealy in front here. He starts in the middle of the corner. Jean's right down in the apron. Connor drifts down to the apron, and look at Jean. Look how much more steering he has to put in to get through the second part of the corner. That's hurting his tyres horrifically, and that's why Sean McClemens is now only a tenth of a second behind. So this once again is Melia's experience kicking in, and he's running an excellent race at the front.
Yeah, you can see Sean now right into the clutch to Sean McClellan. Sean, of course, is also going to have to deal with aero washout, and he'll be hoping that the slipstream, or whatever small amount of slipstream that's afforded, particularly in this run through the dogleg, will give him an opportunity to make up back some of that ground, because Harvey Dara's right behind him as well. Harvey, as we said, started in 9th position. He's up to 4th now at the moment. Sean, by the way, started in 7th. He's up to 3rd. So 2 of them running great races thus far, and we only have about 3.5 minutes left in this opening heat. Unusual to get through so many laps. We're on lap 19 now of this opening heat, but it is these are two guys that I suppose the format of the evening comes into it as well, in that like you don't really want to be doing anything overly stupid. Like for Sean McClemens, are you really going to dive bomb Jean going into the last lap of the first race of the evening? And like, just a real risk reward thing. Like I wonder is the reward really enough to justify the risk? So I wonder, will Sean actually have a go off Jean here, or will he bide his time and maybe think about doing something in the second race, or seeing what happens off the line? Because Sean got a great jump off the line, as did Harvey Dara, so they might fancy themselves from the restart as opposed to trying to do it in the middle of the race.
Yeah, definitely. Sean was running really well, but I think he's suffering the effects of tyre wear a little bit. He's a lot smoother with the steering wheel than Jan Zouteveld is, which is weird because it's not typically a trait you'd associate with Sean McClemens being smooth. He likes to absolutely wring the neck out of the car. Yeah, this is just a learning curve, isn't it, for the 20-minute race? Because that's when the likes of tyre wear and you're having to use your roll bars will really kick in. But just look at how Sean is one input throughout the corner. Okay, slight little adjustment there. That's not ideal, but for the most part, it's one input in. Where Harvey Dara, I'm sure is going to be fairly multiple here because he has 2 cars in front of him. No, relatively smooth as well. So Harvey Dara clearly knows what he's doing, and he's right on the tail of Sean McClemens. For Jan Zouteveld, mistakes could creep in very quickly here because all of a sudden he's doing everything he can. Like, he can't really drive any quicker. He's flat out, and the cars behind are still catching. That's a difficult battle in your head to overcome.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. And the fact that you run so close here, and there's marbles on the outside, which means that if Sean does decide to make a move, it's going to be very difficult for Jean to defend the outside. So he's going to have to try and defend the inside, which, you know, it's difficult as well. You're trying to set yourself up for the inside without trying to compromise that final corner. So Sean is getting closer and closer and closer. But again, they're all suffering from the effects of washout. As you said, Harvey Dara the most, but Diarmuid Toomey's on the back of them as well. They seem to all be fairly stable. I suspect none of them are running overly oval-specific setups, if you know what I mean. So probably just running the standard stock iRacing setup for ovals. And it's fixed. Oh, okay, well, there you go. But I mean, in terms of the roll bars, you know, like they can, obviously the roll bars can atone for some of that, and they can make you a bit racier in the corners if you know what you're doing. But they're kind of all on the same playing field, save for Conor Melia, who's comfortably out in front. And I think this is going to be the final lap of the race.
Yeah, I think so. As Jan Zouteveld is under an awful lot of pressure. He ran a very good last lap, to be fair, to put him back in contention, but Sean McClemens is right in the slipstream now, and Jan Zouteveld is slowly losing that effect off Conor Melia. It's going to have to be a Hail Mary around the outside from Sean McClemens, and I sense the sensible approach will be the one that's used. That lap traffic of Jack Wynne might help here as the checkered flag is out, and it's a run towards the line in Phoenix, and Jan Zouteveld has held on by about 2 laps there to come home second place on the podium. But Conor Melia, what a turn of fate, and the tracks he is best at is going to grant him his first podium of the season.
Yeah, a super podium for Jean. Really good driving there, managing to keep himself up. There's Rory O'Shea capping off a fairly forgettable opening race by slamming into the barrier. But yeah, it's a great opening race. The last driver, by the way, who stayed on the lead lap in that one, this was only the 10-minute affair, was Dylan McClements in 14th. So everybody from Rory O'Shea down to Ronan Keane was a lap behind. Dylan only just really, realistically, avoiding being lapped by Conor Melia, who, interesting, Evan, certainly looks like Conor's very, very comfortable running at the front of these Ultimate cars.
Yeah, that car didn't twitch once. That was exceptional from Conor Melia. But I suppose when you're not under pressure, you can really just manage the race, can't you? But Conor Melia takes your race win ahead of Shaz Devella in second. Sean McClemens in third. Harvey Dara in fourth. And Dermot Toomey in fifth. Sean McGoldrick is in sixth. Lee Cogan in seventh. And it's Simon Hutchings, Tony Griffin, Ken Doyle, Kevin Joyce, Camden Chukwa, Carl Corkin, Dylan McClemens, Rory O'Shea, Dara O'Connor, Jack Wynne, Peter McCann, Adam Dowling, Ronan Keane, Niall Stevens to round out the order. Race 2 starting pretty imminently.
Yep, and we won't have a standing start this time. We'll have a rolling start as per usual. But yeah, it's look, it's going to be very interesting to see whether Conor Melia can hold that advantage. Look very comfortable against Jean Zoutevella, and as you said, using that tactic of just doing, I suppose, running slightly different lines and creating that aero wash. And that is where the advantage comes, especially on these short track ovals. I feel like when it comes to the super speedways, you tend to be a bit more at the hands of those behind you, because they can team up and start running lines. Whereas if you're on these short track, and albeit this a longer version of short track, but if you're on the short tracks, it does make it more difficult to try and pass.
Yeah, it does. No doubtably, it's a difficult evening if you're starting at the back. Because you've got to try avoid the impending lap 1 chaos and then make overtakes at a track that doesn't really promote overtaking. So a lot of it's got to be done on the opening laps here when the tyres are still relatively cold. How's Conor Melia going to time this as he's coming towards the line once again? Holds it a little bit later. Jan Zoutevella has still been caught out. If Sean McClements is brave enough, he might have a look on the inside. No, opting for the high line as we go racing here in Phoenix. We're 3 wide. Lee Cogan, Tony Griffin, Simon Hutchings, and it is Rory O'Shea in the wall once again down the back. I think Dylan McClements is involved in it as well. So Dylan has not had any luck here. We're still away at the front. Sean McClements looking for the move on Jan Zoutevella. He's got an overlap on the inside. It's oh so hard to find, but doesn't send it down the inside.
Yeah, just a little bit tentative. I think Sean perhaps could have had a go as Simon Hutchings gets put into the wall, but certainly eased out to the outside and finds himself in the wall. That was by Kevin Joyce. But yeah, I wonder what happened with that Dylan McClements Rory O'Shea. We'll have a look at that in a second when the traffic begins to thin out at these opening races. But a big accident between those two, and Dylan, a bad night has been made even worse for Dylan. It's absolute disaster on the oval here for the young man from Dunloy. It is his brother Sean, who's he had an opportunity to go down the inside of Jean. He did have that slight overlap, but I felt like he just didn't quite put the boot in as much. He's going to have a run here. He's going to look to the inside. Can he get it done? He's going to try and stick his nose down the inside. Jan's got on the outside. I think Jan's going to have enough pace to keep it going around the outside. And there are marbles around the outside, Evan, but they are kind of on the extremities of the track. So it is possible to run too wide as Sean, once again, getting up on the back of Jan, but just can't find the pace in the right place.
Yeah, middle line still works here. Tyres are nice and fresh. Still at the start of the race. And Jan Zoutevella, the Dutchman, is in the lead. And Conor Melia has been dethroned for the first time. But he's going to hang it round the high line and potentially keep it in here too. Sean McClements now dives down the inside as well. He's looking to dispatch Melia and go to second. But Conor Melia is trying to run it the long way here while he still has grip on the Firestones. Down towards the first corner. It's still Jan Zoutevella on the inside. Melia, the opportunity may go a-begging if he cannot keep this pinned. He does. Look how close they go. Down towards the dog leg. In towards turn number 2. We're still too wide here at Phoenix. We're 2 by 2 as a matter of fact, because Harvey Dara fancies to get past his fellow Antrim native. Conor Melia's ran the high line enough. He'll go back down towards the apron on lap number 7. But the Dutchman is still in the lead, and Harvey Dara tries the almighty send.
Yeah, Harvey's, I don't know if he's going to get it done, but that outside line certainly proving plenty of grip. You saw Conor Melia hanging around for several laps, went down to the inside, and he's lost out by doing that as the 56. Probably thought he'd have a run at Jan Zoutevella, but as it turns out, he's going backwards rapidly. Sean McClements is on his back, and Jan Zoutevella up into first place. Harvey Dara up 2 positions already, Harvey, which, given how difficult it is to overtake here, phenomenal effort from the number 5, and our championship leader getting it done again on the ovals. Let's see if Sean can keep it. He gets lightly on the inside in the apron. That kicks him out wide, and Conor Mealy manages to hold on to his position, but it's very, very tight there. There was an overcorrection from Mealy on the inside. There's Sean. Sean sent it down the inside. He's pushed Conor Mealy out wide. Conor's going to hold on to it, though. This is nip and tuck, and it only takes one slight mistake for this all to end up in curtains. We saw some slight overcorrections earlier on, but thankfully everybody getting through the first 10 laps unscathed thus far.
Yeah, here's Kevin Joyce, Tony Griffin and Lee Hogan fighting. They are all now pushing the limits of comfortability. They were comfortable before. They're certainly getting racy now. Let's see what Jan Zouteville can do at the front. How does he plan to lead this race? Because it's a strategy in itself, how you lead from the front when you know there's a pack coming for you behind. Here's Kamto Chukwa, who's not had the best of evenings so far. He's now fighting with Adam Dowling, who's looking for it down the inside from one Renault yesterday to a Renault schemed indyNXT here today at Phoenix. Not able to put it down the inside. Gap still only a 10th at the front.
Yeah, still a huge amount of running there on the outside. That outside line is still fairly profitable if you're willing to use it. And Conor Mealy dropping off the back of Harvey Dara. I wonder, did Conor just overuse his tyres? When Jan went down the inside, Conor caught slightly napping, and then he had to try and battle around the outside. And I wonder, 15-minute race, it's going to have an impact on your tyres. So this may be Conor Mealy just deciding to use race strategy and hoping that in the latter part of the race he'll have the run, he'll have the tyres to be able to get back at these guys.
Yeah, you got to manage your tyres. It'll be increasingly evident in the 15-minute heat. But look, it's a learning curve. We don't really know what it's going to be like. Here comes Kevin Joyce trying it down the inside of Sean McGoldrick. These two always somehow find each other out on the asphalt in RTA. Kevin Joyce, who is getting ready for his real world racing debut at the weekend in Formula V racing with James Friel Racing. So Kevin opting for a totally different style of racing in preparation. Look at this up the front. Harvey Dara's on the outside. That's going to be difficult to hold in at this part of the race, but it gives him the launch on the inside, and Jan Zouteville is under pressure here down towards turn number 1. Can Harvey Dara stick it out on the inside and force Jan wide? He's gone for it as Harvey Dara down the inside and in towards the dogleg. He'll have the inside line and down towards turn number 2, but Jan just has the momentum around the outside, has a good motor in the back of it, but they're still 2 by 2, and Harvey Dara is on the crucial inside line. He's got to push Jan Zouteville up towards the wall here and make Jan run on those marbles. That's exactly what he's done, and he's still on the inside, but Jan's out of Vela. This is confident, this is composed, and he stays in the race lead.
Yeah, I suspect Jan has a little bit more over racing than perhaps you and I know, Evan, to be honest, because he looks very, very confident there running on the outside line, and he's gone 2 by 2 now for the vast majority of this race and is looking very, very comfortable indeed. Peter McCann and Adam Dowling had an instant there down. Rory O'Shea once again back in the pits after an instant. Is that Harvey Dara clipping the wall on the outside slightly? I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think it was. Whether that's going to have any real impact on his performance, I doubt it, but it's just an indication that Harvey is just on the edge, and he has to stay consistent here, because I suspect Conor Mealy, you can already see, he's starting to come back at the number 5 car. And again, tyre management so key here. And Conor, I wondered, has Conor made the smart move? Has he decided to discretion is the better part of valor? By the way, lads, everybody from 16th down, that is Jordan Kelly down onwards, is off the lead lap now. So 7 minutes in, and we've already lost 7 cars on the lead lap.
Let's have a look at this replay then.
This could be the Dylan instant at the beginning, yes. Let's have a look here. This is Dylan and Rory O'Shea. Rory blinking, 3 wide. Is that a clip? Yeah. And a massive neck code. Rory just really suffered from the neck code. I'm not sure who was down the inside there who tagged Dylan McClements. It's not a livery we'd see very often. Perhaps Niall Stevens, I'm not sure. But yeah, Dylan being clipped, and then unfortunately neck code doing its part and sending Rory O'Shea around. This is the Peter McCann, Adam Dowling instant. Adam going down the inside. Peter shutting the door and getting caught up. And that, that is a massive accident for Adam Dowling. And there's somebody else tagged them on the way through as well like that might be Tony Griffin. I think it's Tony, actually. I think it is Tony Griffin who tagged them on the way through. So that's a big blow to one of our championship contenders as well. He is a meatball flag down at 17th.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the old kart or IRL days where cars would go on the catch fence and then just spin. That unfortunately happening to Adam Dowling, but we're over halfway through this one. It's not decided by any stretch of the imagination, and the two good friends and V racers are looking to go fighting once again. Conor Melia in third, Sean McClements in fourth. But as we saw in race number one, at this point in the race, it's so tricky to overtake. You've got to hope for a mistake from the driver in front.
Yeah, oh no, you do. I mean, other than either look for a mistake from the driver in front, or you really have to be able to hook these machines in. You have to start really getting a line that's particularly racy. A lot of these guys I expect didn't do a huge amount of practice on this Phoenix Raceway, so they are starting to get a bit more off with the lines. But I could see Sean McClements trying to He's trying to come slightly around the outside and cut down the inside, but he's not using all of that track as McClements. That being said, he's still gaining on Melia here in the 56 car, so I find the physics of IndyCar and even NASCAR so interesting. You think that drivers aren't running the best lines for the corner, and then all of a sudden you see the massive gains they have, and you just wonder yourself how they're managing to do it. But Sean definitely gaining on Conor Melia here in this section of the track, but not enough to mount any sort of meaningful challenge as we head towards the 2/3 part of this race.
Look, it's not an unfamiliar sight in 2026 to see Conor Melia struggling in a straight line compared to the car behind him, but Sean McClements doing a very good job here. Oh no, that's not a good job. He's just about hooked it up. That looked like Dermot Toomey was going to get the run on him. This is Dermot's best evening of the season so far. Has rarely finished in the top 10. Even if he has once, I don't have any, or he did. Heat number 1 in St. Pete, he finished in 10th position. That's his only top 10 of the season. He runs 5th. Yeah,
great work from Dermot, who's dressed like the milk tray man, I think, at the moment, and the all black the livery, and indeed the race trim as well, the race suit and helmet. Conor Melia still in third. He's just peppering around the back of Harvey Dara, but this track really doesn't lend itself that much overtaking, which is a bit of a pity because I think it's that wheel-to-wheel racing we were all hoping for, but Phoenix just isn't the track that really allows that.
Yeah, it's flat out, which apart from very high, fast super speedways usually doesn't make for great racing. If we had a short track, it would have been a little bit better, but this is the free circuit, so it makes sense to have it here because it saves the drivers a bit of money. That's what RTA is all about. But now that's not ideal, and something like that could make racing very interesting if these guys keep glancing the wall. I think we're starting to see the effect of tyres here, because Conor Melia, his car is really loose and is wanting to go into the wall on every corner. So we could have a battle here solely from the mistakes of Harvey and Conor.
Yeah, there's a lot of understeer here for sure, and that gap between themselves and the leader, this man Jan Zautovela, is gaining all the time. Conor trying to find the high line. He's just searching for grip here a little bit, and he's finding it here around the outside of Harvey Dara. Conor Melia getting a run and getting the job done against Harvey. Super work from the 56 machine. That high line, Evan, is really proving fertile ground for overtakes.
Dara is what the Fox IndyCar commentators would call the struggle bus, where you just keep falling down because you have made mincemeat of your tyres, and now Sean McClements is looking to get past, and there's the first real active defence from Harvey Dara. Weaves to the inside. The number 47 is on the inside line, but Harvey's able to carry momentum around the outside. Good to see the high line is still working. It may not be the most realistic physics, but we don't care because it's giving good racing, so as long as it's entertaining, that's the only thing. Sean McClements checking up because he went on the inside of Harvey Dara, is now giving Dermot Toomey an opportunity to go around the outside, and Dermot's got a real run here. If he can hang it the long way, he may find himself up in 4th position. Look at this from Dermot Toomey! Oh, almost in the wall. That promotes Sean McGoldrick now, and McGoldrick on the inside. Dermot is now fallen, and this is going to allow Kevin Joyce through as well. Ducking and dicing here in Phoenix.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last. And if you're slowing down, you're going backwards here. That is oval racing down to a T. You make one slight mistake and you end up having to ease off the throttle, and that invites everybody else to go around the outside. And Dermot, from potentially being up at the fourth position, now finds himself battling to hold on to sixth position. And it looks like Kevin Joyce is going to get there, is he? They are swapping back and forward. Kevin around the outside. He's going to get it done here, Kevin Joyce, into sixth position. So that's great moves for him. He's up 5 places, by the way, lads. Kevin Joyce into fourth. Darragh O'Connor also up 5 places in 11th. Yeah, that's a bit of racing finally has broken out here as we get towards the latter part of this second heat.
Yeah, we're nearly there, but this is great fighting. Jan Zoutevella running a very smooth race at the front. And oh, look at this from Dermot Toomey. Swaps to the inside of Kevin Joyce and makes that move stick. Lovely overtake from the Cork man. Kevin Joyce has got to try and fight back, however, and he has done. So he's on the inside once again. These two have lost an awful lot of time to the racing pack, but the likelihood is they would have been fighting over 6th and 7th anyways. So why not make it entertaining? Toomey may try down the inside once again. No, backs off, checks up. That might be that unless he can get a good run out of this corner.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he's had a run before in the last lap against Kevin, so there's no reason why he couldn't do it again, does Dermot. He's starting to move down to the inside. Kevin looks like he's a small bit loose there going through that corner, which might invite more pressure, but perhaps not. Jan Zoutevella, though, what a performance from him. He's almost 4/10 up the road from Conor Melia. And Conor, by the way, also a superb driver. It looked like he was going to drop like a stone, but he did a great job of managing those tyres, Conor, and he's really comfortable now in second position after some great overtakes. Harvey Dara into third. He's been battling all the way through the evening. It's a good result from him as well. And for Sean McClemens, down 1 spot overall, but I think Sean will take it given his apprehension, let's say, for oval racing. So 4 really good results at the top of the grid. Sean McGoldrick up 1 place as well, and as we said, Kevin Joyce up 5 and 6th. Lee Cogan is going to start us on the reverse pole grid as it stands.
Yeah, the reverse grid could be very fun indeed as Jan Zoutevella comes across the line to take the win. Conor Mealy in second, then Harvey Dara in third. Sean McClemens in fourth, ahead of Sean McGoldrick in fifth. Kevin Joyce in sixth, Dermot Toomey in seventh, and Lee Cogan in eighth. And on reverse grid pole, who was quickest in practice pre-race? That was Lee Cogan, who starts at the front. Simon Hutchings then ninth, then it's Ken Doyle, Darragh O'Connor, Camto Chukwu. It's been a disappointing evening for Camto. Jack Wynne, who ran a lot better in that race than race 1. Niall Stevens then behind him. Behind Niall Stevens is Jordan Kelly, Dylan McClemens, Peter McCann, Ronan Keane, Cathal Corkin, and Adam Dowling in 20th position. We saw Adam and Peter make contact throughout. But, we've one more as well, of course. We have Rory O'Shea in 21st, and Tony Griffin, 15 laps down in 22nd. That is one of your championship contenders in second in the championship, Tony Griffin, who may be using this one as a drop round. But let's hear from your top 3, starting with your race winner, Jan Zoutevella. Jan, congratulations. It's a win on the oval here in Phoenix. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's nice. For some reason, we had racing in race 2, except for the end, compared to race 1. So it was fun. Yeah.
Is there anything you're doing to adapt your driving to the ovals rather than the road courses?
Well, I don't know, not really actually.
Then you said you had a little bit of racing in race number 2. Race number 3, you're going to have to do a lot more. You're starting 8th. What's the plan of action then?
Honestly, not die. I think that's going to be the only plan of action here.
Well, Jan, best of luck in heat number 3, and all going well, we'll be chatting to you again.
Thank you.
And maybe a little bit more conversation in heat number 3. But in second place with Kevin is Conor Mealy.
Well, I was going to say, Jan displaying the typical Dutch flatness there by just saying absolutely nothing. Right, Conor Mealy, you are a big fan of IndyCar. This is no secret. We talk about it all the time in commentary. Great opening race, great second race, but particularly that second race where you kind of backed off a little bit in the first couple of laps because you've gone obviously side by side with Jan to begin with. Was that a tire saving thing, or kind of talk us a little bit through how the race went for you?
Yeah, after race 1, the tires were in bits after 10 minutes, so I knew it would be a thing of saving the tires for race 2. So I just kind of relaxed a bit, and the side by side wasn't necessarily tactical to drop back. It was more just I was driving to save the tires, and then kind of leave it till the end. I left it a bit late though. I didn't realize. Well, I just kind of underestimated how bad the dirty air was when you get really close to someone and you only have a single toe. It kind of really negates it. So I kind of needed a few more laps of the tire advantage to get by Jan. But I got the second, so happy enough with that. And the race one went really well. Although this is going to be a fairly tricky job now for the reverse grid.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in the final question, but just talk about that dirty air. Evan, who's also an iRacing or an IndyCar aficionado, pointed out some of the lines that you were running, particularly through turn 1, where you were taking the middle of the corner, then going down to the apron, and then running all the way out wide. Was that just because it was your favorite line, or Evan was saying that potentially one of the reasons you were doing it was because you were trying to get Jan in that dirty air by running that line?
Well, no. So it's basically just driving where the lads in front aren't, where the air is, and there's no dirty air to kind of keep wind or air on that front wing, and it helps stop the tire scrub as well. So it's basically just driving where he isn't, which is why I turn in quite early into turn 1 as well. So that's kind of the trick.
And yeah, coming back to that final race, I think if anything, go low usually is the advice when it comes to accidents on oval tracks. Is there anything else any other advice you'd give to those starting in a position like yourself, trying to make their way through?
Normally, if you aim for the accident, it's gone by the time you get there, but not really here apparently, because the accidents seem to have about 40 cars. So yeah, it's gonna have to be like an old Days of Thunder situation where you just close your eyes and foot to the floor.
Yeah. Sam says, "See God, there's a checkered flag." Right, Connor, you've already done Trojan work this evening. Hopefully, the final race rounds it off for you. Great to see you back up the front in one of your favourite series. So, looking forward to seeing you in that final race.
Cheers, lads.
And have we enough time to have a quick chat with Harvey Dara?
No, we don't.
Okay, we do not. Right, I thought we might get ahead of ourselves because of Jan's quite short question answers.
Thanks for liking my Instagram post while you were waiting there, Harvey, though. I did get that notification.
Fair play. Sean McClement saying he's never hated the car and track so much.
Yeah, but he's just going to be ignoring.
Yeah, but Jan also agreeing with him. I mean, there's not a lot of love amongst the drivers for this combination.
Yeah, because it's the wrong format again and the wrong track. But it's not an oval championship, really. It's a bunch of single-seater racers who like single-seater racing around tracks. But hopefully this is relatively entertaining. Lee Cogan and Dermot Toomey on the front row. Kevin Joyce, Sean McGoldrick, 3rd and 4th. Sean McClements, Harvey Dara, 5th and 6th. Connor Melia, 7th, followed by Jan Zoutavella in 8th. I'm just glad Connor seems to share my passion for IndyCar and oval racing. I'm not sure there's many more.
Yeah, well, I think you're in a bad group for it here, to be honest with you, Evan. And as you said, I just don't think it's quite the right combination of format plus track plus car. So, yeah, it would. I'm sure if we had a longer one-off race where there is actually strategy and tire changes and etc. But it's Peter.McCann at RTAmotorsport.com. For that. Right, it is going to be Lee Cogan leading us off, but Lee was fast in practice, as you said, Evan. But Dermot Toomey, of course, was rapid in the last race as well. So it's not going to be the usual sort of reverse grid pole where they're kind of sitting ducks. Like, these two at the front have a superb chance of winning this thing.
They do, and the thing is, they have a clear run to turn number 1. Everyone else behind has the potential for half the grid to be round and in the wall in front of them. So they have a real good chance. It's back to the old adage of to finish first you have to finish. And that could well be a case of what we might see this evening. As Connor said, Tire saving is going to be a big thing as well. So you've got to use your experience gained across Heat 1 and Heat 2 to save your tires. And I don't think this is going to be a bad race. I think it will be a fairly interesting one, but I am well open to be proven wrong. It'll be Lee Cogan on the inside, Dermot Toomey on the outside as the pace car comes around to enter the pit lane here at Phoenix. It's a horrid pit entry, so if you do have to pit, there is a high chance that you could get that wrong as well. But the pace car peels in. Cogan will lead us to green as we go racing here in Phoenix. Jan Zouteveld and Conor Melia already battling in towards turn number 1. It is a cracking start from number 26, Lee Cogan, and Conor Melia and Harvey Dara are side by side. Dara putting foot to floor quicker and is able to accelerate back up to speed. It's the cleanest opening lap we've had so far as Dermot Toomey is going for the race lead.
Yeah, well, we know that high line has plenty of pace on it, so Dermot has the option to do that. He's cutting down to the inside now, is the Corkonian. He's going round the inside, and I think he's going to leave Lee Cogan for shot. He is, but now here's in the Leighton House livery, Kevin Joyce, and also joining the party is Sean McClellan. So it's all gone a little bit mixed up now as Dermot Toomey makes that run, and it's Kevin Joyce now down the inside. Lee Cogan drops all the way down to 4th position.
Lee Cogan down to 4th, side by side with Sean McClemens. 2 by 2 we go into turn number 1. Kevin Joyce leads in Phoenix, and Dermot Toomey is in 2nd. Sean McClemens has got a run and a half off the line. He's up 2 positions. Jan Zouteveld is up 3. Conor Melia remains in 8th position. Dylan McClemens has finally survived the opening lap for the first time this evening as Jan Zouteveld is trying to run high. Kevin Joyce is squeezing him all the way to the outside, and Sean McClemens may try to follow his protege in Formula V, Kevin Joyce, through, but look at the run that the Corkonians got off turn number 2. Cork, not exactly known for breeding oval racers, but Dermot Toomey is certainly giving this a go.
But definitely known for breeding. Dermot Toomey in 2nd place. It is Kevin Joyce. I wonder, Evan, is tyres, again, we talk about tyres in 15-minute race. That's very tight to Sean McClemens taking out Lee Cogan on the front right of Sean's, almost making contact with the rear left of Lee Cogan's machine, who's just got ahead again. But tyres are going to be such a big thing, and there's massive battling so early in this one. I just wonder, will these guys be able to run the distance?
Yeah, the likes of Jan Zouteveld and Conor Melia still running a very smart race here, but as we've seen, overtaking opportunities are so limited, and if you want to win the race, you've got to be in 1st position, and Kevin Joyce is doing an excellent job of that. Look at this, Dermot Toomey has got the run, as has Harvey Dara, and Harvey Dara's got a monster slipstream, and it could potentially be free wide into towards the first corner. No, not quite. Dermot Toomey's had to check up a little bit. This could put Harvey Dara into play. Sean McClemens has been absolutely whipped by Jan Zouteveld. So the Dutchman, despite not expressing his love for this, still running absolutely excellently. Kevin Joyce is running a fantastic race, 2.5 minutes into it as well. As Harvey Dara, the front wobbled through there. He's going to have to get on the roll bars quickly and loosen up that to make it a little bit smoother through the corners. Dermot Toomey still side by side. This is epic stuff.
Oh, what a run, and in amongst all that, we weren't looking at it, but Kevin Joyce and Dermot Toomey swapped over and back, and had they had Rory O'Shea's netcode, that could have ended up in a disaster for the whole grid, because there were mere inches separating the two of those, as once again they stay side by side, and Dermot Toomey trying to make the most of that outside line. He cuts down now onto the track, and this is where etiquette and where understanding comes. It's such a big part of oval racing, and where to put your car and how to be predictable, but obviously these guys are circuit racers. They know absolutely nothing about that, nor do they particularly care about it. So they'll be cutting back and forward and chopping down on each other, moving up on each other. So they're going to have to be exceptionally careful here about how they race and what sort of body language they show with these IndyNXT cars. But this is superb stuff. Sean McGoldrick with a run now around the outside. Lee Cogan, who was in 2nd, now finds himself in 5th as Harvey Dara tries to make another place. He's already up 3 places. Kevin Joyce up 2 places as we go 2 wide once again. 4 minutes, and the guys haven't been separated. Do we go 3 wide? Harvey Dara's! Harvey's into Dermot Toomey, who takes out Sean McGoldrick, and there's a whole host of other cars involved in that as well. Let's see if the leaders got through that unscathed, but Sean McClemens in the background gets ahead of Jan Zouteveld. This is a bit like a horse race. One horse goes down and the race just carries on. There's no yellow flags here, ladies and gents. We just keep going round Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, wouldn't be too it would be understandable to be confused with that in an episode of Total Wipeout, because Dermot Toomey just got flicked into the fence. We may need to take another look at it when the action dies down, but that's given Kevin Joyce an excellent opportunity at the front of this one. He's got to go into tire management saving mode immediately because he's not necessarily under pressure. It's given Dylan McClements a new lease of life. Dylan McClements is up 13 positions here, and who said you couldn't overtake at Phoenix? He is going for second on Harvey Dara. This is a very Christian Rasmussen-esque performance for any of our IndyCar fans in the stream chat, as Lee Cogan still fighting back, and they are still battling their way through the final corner.
Yeah, Dylan, who's presumably also a Christian, in third position, trying to put pressure on Harvey Dara, who probably is also a Christian as well, just a slightly different denomination if the flag is anything to go by. Dylan on the back of Harvey Dara. He's Lee Cogan with him as well. Lee's up and down like a fiddler's elbow at the moment. He's up in second, he's down in fifth, he's up in third, he's down in sixth. We can't keep a track on the number 26 car, but he's putting pressure on Dylan McClements, and behind them, Sean McClements as well. He's wedged in between the Team DDR drivers as Peter McCann. He's had plenty of spills this evening in that orange livery, reminiscent of Jos Verstappen. Those of you who will remember Jos Verstappen driving that one back in the day. Yes, Max does have a dad, and yes, we're not going to mention anything more about him. Peter McCann being overtaken by Jack Wynn. Campbell Chukwa in 11th, being disappointing even for Campbell. He's trying to try and get back on it, but Harvey could be potentially looking at a penalty in this situation, so he's going to have to put the foot on it, but he's going to have Dylan McClements around the outside, and Dylan, who had an absolute shocker of an opening two races, couldn't complete a lap without a problem, now finds himself in third position as Rory O'Shea going around the outside of Jan Zoutvela.
Dylan McClements is ahead of Harvey Dara, or is he? Not quite. Harvey Dara in the Deck Images sponsored machine. Oh, wow. Wow, what a move from Dylan McClements. So brave round the outside. Harvey tried to run him wide like he, well, did a little bit too much with Dermot Toomey, but he tried to do it again, but Dylan held on this time, and Lee Cogan is now trying to catch Harvey Dara. Rory O'Shea is up even more positions than Dylan McClements. Dylan's up 14. Rory is now up 16 as he gets past Sean McClements. The only thing is these two are churning through those Firestone tyres, so they may find the late race pace drop off. Harvey Dara and Lee Cogan still side by side, and I don't think Harvey Dara has had a moment of rest in this race just yet. He has been battling for the first 7 minutes of it well and truly, and now Lee Cogan is on the inside, but Harvey once again has the momentum, and Harvey Dara is slowly but surely finding his own way to do it.
Yeah, I wonder, is Rory O'Shea mimicking his southeast compatriot Cian O'Connor and putting a little bit of extra juice in his steed before the race? I'm not sure if that's what's happened here, as Simon Hutchings switches on the inside for Ken Doyle. Can't get that move done on the Ling Motorsport 25 machine and stays in 10th place.
So oval racing, guys. As Peter McCann is right, Jack Wynn here. Peter up 3 places, despite hating everything about this and hating the car. Dylan McClements now on the inside of Kevin Joyce, and in top 10 battles you probably didn't expect for the race lead today. I think Kevin Joyce and Dylan McClements was one of them.
Yeah, well, by the time we got to the middle race, absolutely not. But Dylan is absolutely flying, and Rory up 16 places as well. Harvey Dara up 3 places. He's off the lead here, though, quite considerably, as Kevin and Dylan go to battle here with 8 minutes gone. And you talk about those Firestone tyres being chewed up. I seriously wonder about Kevin Joyce's ability to last this race, because he's been battling since we crossed the checkered line for the very first time here at Phoenix.
Oh, that car's all over
the place. It's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, sorry for jumping in, Kevin. I just thought he was dead there, because that car is all over the place, and look, you can see through the corners, not really hanging with it in the toe, and could be under a lot of pressure here from Harvey Dara.
Yeah, no, it could be. Harvey's starting to make his way back now, and you can see Kevin. We might try and stay on board with Kevin Joyce for a lap or two just to see how he's fixed with this car, because the onboard will show us an awful lot about how this car is behaving. And there's a nice little nifty new graphic we have, courtesy of SDK. One thing they've gotten right, I think is fair to say, given our experience with them. But yeah, Kevin in second place for the moment. He looks stable enough there, Evan. I wonder did he just get a little bit too happy on the inside of the apron there, because once you start going down too low on the apron and the car starts to wash out, you start to seriously lose balance, and the weight gets thrown around in some of the worst places.
Yeah, once the balance goes of these cars, then you're on the highway to hell, as they say. But Kevin Joyce, he's not quite there just yet. Let's have a look at the replay here
Yeah,
and
this
see.
might be the incident at the beginning with Dermot. Exactly. Fair play to Ronan Hedman. He's on the ball with this, finds a quiet moment and
Header
shows us
ball.
what we want to see.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
poor Sean McGoldrick. Just an
Yeah,
innocent
no,
bystander.
and in fairness to Sean McGoldrick on the side point, not that I don't know if Sean did much about this, but actually, that was a massive accident that probably should have cleaned out a lot more people and actually didn't. But thankfully for that, it didn't. But
It
yeah,
looks
just
like Dermot turned in too early, but he didn't. That's where he turned in for that corner. So I
yeah,
think that will
no,
be on Harvey. That's great
I
news
think
if you're
Harvey
Tony
just
Griffin
washed
or
up.
Sean McClemens.
Well, exactly, and it's been such a good evening for Harvey. I mean, I still think he's going to have a net gain overall, the number 5, the young man. But it's a little bit of a setback for a 15-point potential penalty. But obviously that's up to the stewards as Rory O'Shea takes his 17th place in this race so far. 10 minutes in, lads. 17 places for Rory
Jesus, how about
O'Shea, and a
Tommy
track
Blow?
that isn't 17 places. Ken Doyle, not Kevin Doyle. Oh, Ken Doyle. Speaking of Ken Doyle, he tried to mimic a Kevin by smashing into the barrier on the outside, but manages to keep the car running. That's pretty good work there from Ken Doyle, but got that all kinds of wrong. And Connor Mealy, I think Connor was halfway between having his eyes open and his eyes shut there because he didn't know whether the opportunity was going to present itself for him or whether he was driving straight to the scene of an accident.
Yeah, they're very sturdy cars, these indyNXT. Is something that we've discovered over the past few weeks because the guys have certainly tried testing them. They've been in the wall many a time. As we're looking at Niall Stevens here on the back of Camto Chukwa, Dara O'Connor behind. Camto, unfortunately, has been hampered heavily by the oval. It's just not been his evening, has it? And he was someone who was a front runner in Mexico, front runner in Miami. He had a plethora of bad issues. And I suppose his luck all came in the season that he probably would have wanted to with the scholarship series, but certainly in the indyNXT, it's not been ideal for Camto.
Yeah, and look, I suppose Camto's exceptionally busy young man. There are exams going on at the moment in lots of different things, and there's just lots going on for Camto. Oh, that's Simon Hutchins hitting the wall on the outside ahead of Ken Doyle. But yeah, I think Camto put an enormous amount of work into that Formula V's. It probably just doesn't have the same ability to commit the same amount of time to this. So, and again, oval racing, perhaps little to no experience, I suspect, for Camto Chukwa. So it's very, very difficult for him. Emerald says Peter McCann has done some very valuable crash endurance testing, and that's just with his own Renault, never mind to say, in these machines. But yeah, that's Niall Stevens. Niall isn't somebody we've commentated on a huge amount, but he is making some good running. He's up 1 place anyway, at least. Tony Griffin, by the way, up 6 places to 16th, but it's still going to be a disappointing evening for the Kerryman.
Yeah, it is. Tony, thankfully, has had a couple of strong evenings before this, so this could well be used as a drop round as Camto Chukwa is trying to make the move on Dara O'Connor. And Dara O'Connor, he's got to stay in front there, is Dara. This is, I suppose, it's not to the extent I expected with the cat being amongst the pigeons, but the likes of Niall Stevens, Dara O'Connor, getting higher up the grid than they would maybe at Mexico or Miami. Now, Dara O'Connor had an exceptional race in Miami, finished 4th in Heat 3, but that was with an absolute wipeout at the first corner included. That was his best result of the championship so far, and dare I say his best RTA result ever, potentially, but I'm open to be corrected on that. Dara running strong here in Phoenix. What I can't believe is Dylan McClemens is still up the front. That's a big slap on the wall from Jack Wynn. Yeah,
big slap from Jack Wynn, and also somebody else behind him. That could be Tony Griffin, I think, maybe behind them as well. That's a contact between Jack Wynn and Peter McCann. They both survived it, though, if the timing tables are to do with anything. And Sean McClemens now hooking into the back of Jan Zoutevella. He's probably going to move to the inside. He does move to the inside. Thank you very much, Sean. Don't make a fool of me. And tries to get that move, but Jan's going to have that grip on the outside. And Evan, as Sean McClemens also touches the wall. Now, we're not too sure how many of these wall touches are net code or 0x's, but still, they stack up over time, don't they? The more and more you kiss that wall, the more likely you are to have some damage, as it looks like Sean is a little bit loose, and I wonder are the tyres starting to fall off now for the 47 car.
Yeah, this is tyre wear, as Conor Mealy is exceptionally brave. And
that's brave.
The rear stepped out because he ran that high line on the marbles. The tyres are most certainly falling off. And anyone who has managed them for the first 14 minutes, the likes of McClemens, Kogan, Joyce, Dara, they haven't. We saw them battling. They could really come to fruition here. You can see in terms of the lap times, Dylan on the last lap, 23 flat. The likes of Jan Zoutevella, 22.8. That's a big gain on an oval. That's flat out.
Yeah, I think Connor's where he wants to be now. I'd love to see that instant earlier on from Connor's on board, because I suspect that maybe Sean got washed out a little bit and ended up running up into the side of Connor, because you just saw the same thing happen. He hit the wall and then Connor had to back off. I think Connor just wants to get past Sean McClemens as soon as he can. He knows that McClemens is a little bit loose here and he needs to get past the 47 machine, because otherwise he's going to be losing time, Connor. And now he has somebody at Simon Hutchings for company down his inside. He's going to get past him, but Connor's managing his tyres, and I suspect that the number 56 car is driving to a delta, and he needs to make sure he doesn't find himself in the same position that he did in the last race in terms of holding on to tyres, but then waiting too late to leave it all out on the track. So he's going to make a move down the inside again as Conor Mealy, as Sean McClemens around the outside. He starts to hit some of those marbles, Sean, but not enough to really affect him. And this is very frustrating for Conor Mealy, because he knows he has the pace advantage over Sean, but Sean just managing to do enough on the high line to keep that advantage.
He's recovered a little bit, has Sean. He did a 23.3, which is miles off. He's done a 2:23.1s consecutively, but still not where the front runners are. And this is holding up Conor Mealy, who has done a good job with his tyres, but what use is that if he can't get past the number 47? And certainly passion may overrule... I've forgotten the word I'm looking for. But certainly passion will rule for Sean McClemens, in that he doesn't like letting cars past him, even if it is beneficial for his race.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sean McClemens and common sense don't necessarily always go in the same sentence, and I think we can apply that to the real world as well as in the virtual world. As Connor going to try and move around the outside, this is dangerous stuff now for the 56 car. He gets ahead of Sean McClemens. Sean goes into the side of him. There's contact between the two of them, and Conor Elia gets past him. Bravery rewarded, but only just for the number 56 car, who now has Simon Hutchings diving down the inside of him. So job's not done yet for Conor Mealy, but he had to be brave around the outside of Sean, but almost getting collected by the number 47 car. Now drops all the way down to 10th or 11th even, with Dara O'Connor sniffing there.
Committed stuff from Simon Hutchings, the dive past Sean McClemens. He didn't fancy waiting around, and he wants to challenge the Heat 1 winner here. Conor Mealy, though, with 3 minutes to go, has an awful lot of work to do, and Sean, if he wanted to try and hold up one of the faster men on the track, he certainly did that. Fastest man on the track as of now on the last lap is Jan Zoutevella, so Jan really saving his tyres well. Is it Jan Zoutevella? No, it isn't. Someone went quicker, as those times not correlating with my times on the timing screen, but Dylan McClemens up the front seems to have done a good enough job saving his tyres, even if he was battling throughout the race. But the thing with Dylan is, worn tyres, he'll be better at driving with them compared to maybe some of the more inexperienced in the field.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, everyone's going to have worn tyres. It's not just anybody who pushes at the beginning. And Kevin, I talked about it earlier, he pushed an awful lot at the beginning. And Dylan is a rock of common sense, I think it's fair to say, in comparison to his brother, who, according to Geraldine, says he's very sensible when he's sleeping, which is great. Dylan doing a great job of managing the tyres here. This is a really classy drive from the 88 car. Great drive as well from Kevin Joyce as well, in fairness, like battling all the way through. But Rory O'Shea up 17 places into 4th position. Here's Jan Zoutevella now with a move on Lee Cogan. Oh, he's pushing. He's on the inside. He's giving Riordan Hedeman the heebie-jeebies here in the background. And the Dutchman gets past Lee Cogan into 6th position. That's good driving there from Jan. Getting it done. Committed, but not dangerous at the same time.
Excellent fighting between the two, as Jan Zoutevella is still hanging it around the outside. Jan has driven really well tonight.
Yeah, super stuff. He's up 3 places as Jan, but ahead of him, Rory O'Shea, as I said, up 17 places. Surely the outstanding in drive. And we do I want you to give us your Driver of the Day nominations this evening. Driver of the Day, put it into the chat, and we will read out some of your nominations, and we'll pick our own come the end of the evening. And we promise we won't cop out last time and award it to everybody because stuff like this happens. That's Jack Wynn being sent into the barrier, and some superb avoidance there from,
wow.
I think, Diarmuid Toomey, but that was a massive accident. Jack Wynn colliding with, that's the number 5. That's it's not Harvey Dara. No, it's number 2. Sorry.
As contact through turn number 1. As Jack Wynn is in the wall, we've only 10
Tony
seconds
Griffin.
left. Or Tony Griffin, yeah. Tony Griffin he's made contact with. We've only 10 seconds left in the race, so Jack Wynn has very much, unfortunately, lost out at the wrong time there. But there really is no stopping this man. On an oval in an IndyCar machine, it's a very Alex Palou-esque performance from Dylan McClements as he comes through the final corner, and he who laughs last certainly laughs the loudest as the prodigy is on the prowl in Phoenix, and Dylan McClements wins ahead of Kevin Joyce in second, who's on the podium for the first time this season. Harvey Dara with a fantastic result in third, Rory O'Shea in fourth as well, who was just as good as Dylan, it has to be said, ahead of Jean Zoutevella in fifth.
Yeah, super drive from Rory O'Shea, if only for the fact that he hadn't had so many incidents in the opening race. And I think, that's Peter McCann, intent wrecking in his own league on stream. Good job there, number 18 car. Thanks for that. But yeah, Jack Wynn finishing 17th despite finishing with a meatball, and Ronan Keane also finishing. Ronan, by the way, we didn't get to mention it unless Evan mentioned it and I zoned out. But Ronan Keane joining us again after recently becoming engaged. So congratulations to Ronan on that one. So at least he got one result this week, even if it isn't on track. But Dylan McClements, our race winner.
Dylan McClements takes the win. Kevin Joyce in second, Harvey Dara in third. Then it is Rory O'Shea in fourth. And Jean Zoutevella in fifth, Lee Cogan in sixth, Ken Doyle in seventh. Then it was Conor Melia, Simon Hutchings, Dara O'Connor, Sean McClements, Camto Chukwa, Niall Stevens, Tony Griffin, Jordan Kelly, Jack Wynn, Adam Dowling, Peter McCann, Ronan Keane, and Diarmuid Toomey, who we unfortunately lost from the front very early in that one. And then those just behind Diarmuid, who were unfortunately out pretty early as well, was Sean McGoldrick and Cathal Crokin. But let's hear from, we were going to hear from Dylan McClements, but he's left the interview room. So here he is back. Let's hear from your race winner, Dylan McClements. Dylan, congratulations. An up and down evening, but once again, it ends up with you stood on the top step of the rostrum.
Yeah, I think it's been a good night in terms of my pace, because I think I got the fastest lap the first 2 races, so the pace is definitely there. It's just unfortunate if turn 1 incident.
In terms of cutting through the pack, though, in heat number 3, was there any method behind the madness, or was it just a case of absolutely send it?
Well, I kind of absolutely send it, to be honest, but I'm not sure if people were trying to fuel save or something, because everyone was going particularly slow then, so must ask once I get out of this interview.
Did you struggle with the tyres or fuel, or are you just as confused as
nothing. I'm kind of confused. The only issue I had is I tapped all, got wheel damage in the race.
In terms of the championship then, you have come out with relatively decent points after the win, but is this still possible for you to take the overall championship victory?
Well, I think it definitely still is. I'll have to look after tonight, but if not, I'm just gonna try win every race for the rest of the season.
Well, Dylan, another masterclass from you in heat number 3. Second week in a row, you've taken the heat 3 win. So congratulations on that one. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again at some point this season.
Thank you very much.
So good to hear from Dylan. And now our second place runner joining Kevin is another Kevin Joyce.
Yeah, Kevin, it's a great name and a great representative of it. In the Leighton House livery, you were going at it from day dot there in that final race, and plenty of battling. You managed to outfox nearly everybody, and you finished in second place. Talk us through that race. And we talked about maybe some of the other races being a bit boring. I'm sure that wasn't a boring one for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. especially in the early laps when the pack was very close, and being such a long race and with the right front tire being so delicate in a long race around here, it was basically leading and trying to stay on the inside and back out so you could preserve that right front tire and hope that the other drivers would wear theirs out, just stay on the inside at all times. And eventually the pack opened up behind and I kind of went for it then with fresh air, but Dylan's pace was just phenomenal. It was just amazing, like how he could just push through that dirty air barrier and catch and pass me. There was really nothing I could do about him.
Yeah, the tires we talked about, it was just kind of the big thing really that we've been talking about this evening. And were you trying to manage it in terms of your pace? Because you obviously, when you're battling so much at the beginning of the race, naturally your tendency is to kind of forget about the tires and try and focus on track position. But then as the race goes on, I think you kind of start to become a lot more aware of what impact that has then on those Firestones.
Yeah, I kind of tried it the other way around this time, where I went very easy in the first few laps. Even though we were side by side, I wasn't like hanging the car so much. I was just doing enough to maintain track position and still backing out of the throttle. But soon as the gap opened up behind, I just went for it and tried to see how long the tires could hang on for, and hope that the cars behind me would get the dirty air and they hurt their tires more. But not strong enough to find off Dylan.
Well, you won't. You're not the first, and you won't be the last in this championship. I can tell you that much. But obviously, that there was an instant a little bit through as well. You were battling with Diarmuid Toomey at the beginning, and then he came together, and unfortunately for him, basically got ejected out of the race. But that, I think, made the road a little bit clearer for you. It probably opened up the track a little bit more for you.
Yeah, it did, and that it just snowball effect of everyone getting caught up behind it. But Dylan came from so far back, and yeah, it was a lot of fun battling out there, and it's very tight. And if you're hanging around the outside of any of the corners, you're putting yourself in the lap of the gods.
Right, Kevin, a superb evening's work, and we couldn't let you go without giving you a little bit more of a reward for it. So, Kevin Joyce, you are our Gantry TV driver of the day.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
So look, Kevin, hopefully he'll be on the top step of the podium and we'll be able to add that to his DOTD list this weekend. Oh, finally, Kevin, your debut this weekend. How did it go?
Yeah, so I have my first test last week in Kirkestown in a Formula V. So yeah, it was the whole RTA thing that kind of inspired me to do it. So looking forward to making the race debut this weekend.
Well, that's in Kirkstown
Mondello.
this weekend. Oh, Mondello. Sorry. Okay. Tells you how much I know. Right. That's going to be a really exciting one. Have a brilliant weekend. So next weekend, and I'm sure you'll be telling everyone in the paddock about your driver of the day accolade this weekend. So looking forward to seeing how you get on.
I'll let Peter know. Thanks, lads.
Yeah, well, he's disaster of the day. Right, Kevin Joyce, thanks so much for joining us. And finally, we'll be hearing a little bit from our number 5 machine, Harvey Dara, who we didn't get to speak to in the middle race. So glad to see he's back.
Harvey, congratulations. Apologies we missed you earlier after your podium heat number 2.
Oh, good.
Not quite overall glory, but a pretty decent effort tonight from yourself.
Yeah, it was alright. Like I've never really driven oval before. I think I did like one oval race, maybe 2, but I didn't really know what to expect. And then you see people like Connor and they're like saving tires, and you're like, oh, maybe I should be saving tires. But I just drove the whole race, like just flat out, and it seems to work. Track position's quite strong around here, so.
I do have to ask you about a crash with Diarmuid Toomey, however, at the start of Heat 3. Tell us how that went from your eyes.
I mean, I personally think it's a racing incident. Like, he turned in, I'm there. I could have turned in earlier. He could have given me more space. You know, it works both ways. So I don't really see. I think it's just a racing incident when you're going 3 wide into turn 1. It's hard to make it stick.
Front runner in the championship now for the first time in RTA for yourself. Is Harvey Dara going to be the name put on the Hall of Fame come the end of the 8 weeks?
I hope so. I definitely hope so. But just weeks like this is good for consistent points. So just keep doing what I'm doing at the minute, and hopefully, yeah, should be there.
Harvey, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So good to hear from all of our podium there, all reflective of the evening. And I have to say, I think it was a pretty entertaining one.
Yeah, I mean, if we were lamenting a little bit, I think, after the opening race about the track and car combination, and then these guys gave us something to talk about, I think, after that opening race. So, yeah, it was great. It was really good to see some side-by-side battling. We did see the tyres come into it more in the longer form. Hint, hint. Peter McCann maybe go for a longer form if we're doing ovals again. But yeah, sorry, Rob. Well, Rob, Jordan, and Peter. I blame all of them equally. Yeah. It is great to see these guys give Odal Racing a good go, and amazing to see how Dylan McClemens can just convert that circuit know-how and speed onto an oval. Like, it's the fastest guys are inevitably fast on ovals and also on the circuit. But this is the only oval race of the season at Phoenix. We head to Watkins Glen next week, back on the East Coast, before we finish off at Laguna Seca, Virginia International, and Sebring to round off this indyNXT series. And very, very enjoyable round 4, Evan. Harvey Dara and Dylan McClemens certainly making the most of it, but some of our front runners struggling a little bit, and Tony Griffin has a bit of work to do next week.
Yeah, Tony has a bit of work. Thankfully, that's the ovals out of the way for him. He can return to familiar sightings, a road course next week in Watkins Glen. But long way to go in this championship. It's not a runaway by any of them, and it should be an entertaining 4 weeks.
So as we head into the month of June, we're halfway through this series. We head to Watkins Glen next week. But before you watch us next week, make sure you head over to rtavirtualmotorsport.com, where you'll get all of the updates, including what happens at the interestingly named instant review, which I won't name out in stream, but it's certainly, I say Sean McClemens is probably behind that. So you can see who gets penalties from that one. Many thanks to our sponsors, as always, Mondello Park, doing superb work, and obviously we'll be hosting the latest round of the IRCC, including Formula V's with Kevin Joyce and indeed Travis Mawhinney, I think, next week, from the Formula V Scholarship Series. So that's going to be one to watch out for, and that will all be covered on Bois Motorsport. Check out their Instagram, and indeed
quite funny,
I'll have to. Yeah. Sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Yeah. Not anyway. Forget it. Right. So thanks very much for joining us. There's always something goes wrong on these. I always end up saying something wrong on these outros, so I'm just going to be as quick as I can from now on. Simconsultants.com for all your sim racing gear. We'll be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. as always. Watkins Glen. Thanks for joining us. Have a good week. Slán go fóill.